course.
that they had watched something prior to the game about like Mike Tyson speech, or no, Muhammad Ali's speech.
Muhammad Ali, yeah.
I forget what it was, but that's just
it. That's all he needed.
Everybody, that's all the team needed to go out and like try to.
JR heard that same speech. He didn't shoot 66.
I just don't think he has it anymore.
Should any team want Carmelo Anthony?
Blasphemous.
Yes, sir, Carmelo.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Control the Narrative, a podcast where we control the narrative that the media creates. If you're new around here, subscribe to catch our weekly podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And if you're a returner, a subscriber, or better yet, a Control the Narrative member, like this fine gentleman is joining us tonight, we appreciate you all. We appreciate the members a little bit always, as I say at the beginning of every episode. If you are not a member of the members-only Control the Narrative program, go to controlthenarrative.com. Sign up to become a member. Merch every 3 months for free. Ton of other perks. You get invites to the podcast, especially if you are a Nuggets tier. So stay tuned to that. And it's March 14th. For every week in the past, 8 months, 9 months, we've been coming on here and speculating about which team Carmelo Anthony should sign with, what's the deal, and all this shit. And season's almost over. I think there's about 15 games left, maybe 20, around there, like 15, 20 games left for most teams. And he's not on a roster. And there's really not too much else to say right now. But we are going to touch on it. This episode is going to be about the second round of our top Melo moments bracket, March Madness bracket. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome on tonight's guest, a Control the Narrative member, and someone who I just said this has been far too long in the making, and we will be sure that it never takes this long again. So Joey, my guy, how you feeling tonight, bro?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
What is that, a jacket?
So this is actually, shout out to a very vintage store in Myrtle Avenue. They've got incredible sports gear, and I actually got this thing. I also got a Hakeem Olajuwon jersey there.
Fire. Good shit, bro. Good to have you fucking on. Like I said, it took way too long. That's on me to make this shit happen. But literally, we were talking for fucking 5-10 minutes before this, and your energy already. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be a hell of an episode. So hyped to get into this. So welcome, first time on Control, and let's kick this off with this. Obviously, we're gonna get into the March Madness bracket. We're going to talk about like which Melo moment we find, whichever one we think is the best. But before we do that, I feel like it's our duty as Control the Narrative, as a platform, to speak on this, at least touch about it. I know I did a little bit just now. But the question is straight up. It's March 14th. The season is almost over. Have you lost all hope that Carmelo Anthony will play in another NBA game ever again?
No.
Why?
So all right. So I am hoping that, this season somebody picks him up. My go-to right now would be the Warriors. I think.
You think there's still a shot that he gets picked up this season?
I think going into the playoffs, yeah, there's a shot that they can pick him. I think Joe Johnson has. if we notice the last few seasons, Joe Johnson always appears on a playoff team, like going into it. I see no reason that Carmelo can't. But in terms of teams that really need him, you're gonna tell me that the Warriors don't need him? You just let me know that Wiggins might be out for the season. I mean, who better just slide in there and take 5 threes a game and make 3 of them?
Yeah.
If not the Warriors, Phoenix. He fits in perfectly as well there.
But what gives you this hope? Like, why do you still? Is it the Joe Johnson thing? Like, I know that
the Joe Johnson, the ISO Joe.
Yeah, he hasn't played in a few years, but like, is it something that you think like, yo, literally 5 games left, you can see Melo getting picked up, and like, what's made you believe that? Because I don't, and I'm just trying to understand why you feel like that.
No, that's a great question. I mean, let's remember the last time he was out of the league for a year, he came back Player of the Week. Like, he's that type of player where he's back in there, he's gonna give you everything he's got. Like and also like he's just fearless, man. Like You know how many times I'm watching the games and people don't want to take threes, and this guy's just stepping into them.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I have a lot of hope. I think play-wise, he can help anyone. You know, he's still 4 boards a game. In fact, if you're a smart coach, if you're the Warriors, you put him down in the post. You put him down though so he could get boards, which he still can do.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he can definitely help a team. Teams need him. You know, a lot of teams need vets as well, especially when it comes to playoff time. And in the case that he doesn't play this year because of the circumstances, we were just talking about it, I think he can definitely find his way into a team next year. He's already proven he could be out for a stretch of time, come back and help a team. You never know if Damian Lillard says, I need you again. I don't know that situation because of Chauncey Billups. There's been a lot there. So yeah, but he's definitely needed, and I think there's fits all around the league.
Yeah,
and ultimately he needs to come back and retire here.
That's a fact. My thing is there's been fits around the league since last summer.
Absolutely.
So like, I'm not trying to like play devil's advocate or whatever. I just feel like, bro, for me, if he wasn't signed a week, 2 weeks max after the All-Star weekend, I didn't think shit was going to happen, and I still don't. Like, I would fucking love for us to record this and for us tomorrow at like 2 p.m. to get a Woj notification and maybe like, yo, Joe, we got to get back on because that whole episode is pointless. Like, I would fucking love nothing more than that. And it's I don't want to say it's very possible. It is possible because I say this pretty much every week, but when he signed with Portland after that year off, that shit came out of fucking nowhere.
It did.
Like,
absolutely.
No Blazer news. Like, we were both at MSG. We were just talking about before.
Yeah.
And there was a buzz in the crowd and shit. But that news came out of nowhere. There were no rumors about Portland. That obviously Dame and CJ had been trying to get him years earlier.
We
but
just got to go to a game again. We just got to be in the building at the same time. That's
I think have you said you went to a few Knicks games. I went to the one Knicks game I went to this year was against who the fuck did they play? I don't even remember off the top of my head. I literally got to think about it. But if that is the case, then we literally have to go to every single Knicks game. And
until it happens.
It's just a numbers game. It's just a numbers game at that point. Like, how many Knicks games are Steve and Joey at that?
Yeah, how many will it take?
To make this work? But no, man, for me, like, if he wasn't signed 10 days, 14 days after that, I just don't see what can happen from now until the playoffs. Obviously, besides a major injury, but like Durant just got hurt for a few weeks with his ankle. He could have easily slid into there. We can talk about Golden State with Wiggins and, you know, him maybe being out.
That's always been my thing with these teams. Wherever KD has left or he's been hurt, is there really a better other than Tracy McGrady coming back into the league? Who else is going to fit better?
Yeah.
Sure, his field goal percentage is going to be lower because he's older. But, I mean, he's going to give you exactly what KD gives you.
Yeah, and again, man, like, what has to happen? Things have happened. The Suns traded for KD. They depleted a lot of their wing depth. And as far as we know, they didn't give Carmelo Anthony a call because we both feel like if they had...
they didn't give him a call because he would have...
Yeah, because if they had, he would have been a Phoenix Sun right now. So, I don't know what needs to happen because I feel like there's been a lot of fits that happen. There's been a lot of injuries that make sense to slide Melo in. There's been a lot of, you know, young guys who are getting in trouble
right now. You know, that's James Jones. You know, that's Monty. That's Chris Paul and Kevin Durant. You're gonna tell me these 4 guys aren't gonna call Carmelo? What's going on there? You know what I mean? Because even if it's bro, you're gonna be at the end of the bench. They are the favorites at this point. It's got to be, even if you're at the end of the bench, you're with us.
You think I don't think he would do that if he played like 3 minutes a game.
I wouldn't want that, but I think that's the notion that Chris Paul and KD should come into this, where it's like, we're going to do everything we can to get you minutes. But even if you're at the end of the bench, we want you here getting that ring. The same way Matt Barnes got his and, you know, all these other people, Matt played a little bit, but, you know, not necessarily a focal point, but they can contribute a bit.
Off the bench, right. Yeah, man. It sucks. It's March 14th. It's almost St. Patrick's Day, and this dude's not on the team. So, like, For me, you think he could sit out this year and come back because you said he did it once, which is fair. I just think, him being 2-3 years older at this point, that's tough. That's a tough ask to ask a 39-year-old to do that. But
here's something I'd like to hear from you. Something I've thought about as well is, we see right now Dwight Howard has become the king of Taiwan. Marbury is China, but
no shot.
Where I think Carmelo Anthony should 100% be playing if he can't make it into the league is the Spanish league. Where more would he feel comfortable playing in Spain? And they've got legacy. The Gasol brothers, Ricky's played there. All these people have played there. Why should he ever stop playing? Play till you're 44, 45.
So what's your logic behind that? Is that so that he can get back into the league or what?
Well, no, not to. So I think this is even if he retires in the NBA, why stop playing? Like you can see he loves it. There are some players who could turn out and be a coach. Some can go onto TV. Why would he stop playing? He literally loves it. He'd go teach it overseas too. And, like I'm saying, somewhere in Spain where, Asia's different. Asia's just a different culture. Like Marbury talks about it, what a culture shock it was. Spain, you're close to all of Europe, which he's in Europe all the time anyway. I think once he's done here, go there. I wouldn't even be against Taiwan or China, but, it's just a culture shock.
The reason I don't think he would do that is because he has so much other shit going on in New York in terms
he
of
also does love New York and he wants to be with his son. Yeah.
He didn't want to go to LA last year because he didn't want to be away from his son. So I don't think he's going to go overseas. And I feel like Melo's the type of guy who, as soon as he's done playing, he's done with the game. I'm not going to say he doesn't want anything to do with it, but he has his own wine company now. He has his own merch. I feel like he's the type of dude who is going to keep himself busy post-retirement, whenever that is.
Definitely.
But, I mean, in terms of entertainment value, you see what Dwight's doing, or we saw a little bit of what Dwight's doing over there. We saw a little bit of that. So, dude was in the three-point shootout. Crazy.
He's making fans now. Look at Marbury. Marbury made a lot of money overseas.
Worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but it's interesting, dude. It's good conversation. It's a shame he's not in the league, but at least we can talk about it.
Yeah, for now. And again, man, when we get that tweet or that Melo Instagram post, whenever that is, whether that's in a week or a year, saying yo, I'm done. I think we'll all have to have a control meetup just to all vent to each other and hopefully he could pull up. But
depending on the team, we'll go to the game.
Hopefully that's a little ways away, so TBD. But all right, man, let's get into this bracket because we have had a bunch of votes on Twitter. I know that we have the vast majority of our followers on Instagram and a decent amount on TikTok and YouTube and stuff, but Twitter we're getting up there, so we really want to prioritize that. So it's been fun to get people involved in this bracket, and what we're gonna do is go matchup by matchup, and I definitely should have pulled this up beforehand, but I guess I'll just speak it for now. So the matchups aren't final. If you're listening to this, they will be final, or if you're watching this, it will be final by now. But sorry to interrupt you if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, but just wanted to let you know that we sell merch here at Control the Narrative. We got everything from t-shirts, I got this Pixel Melo t-shirt right next to me. Then we got this Melo Knicks wrap tee that we saw. This was a bestseller, as you can imagine. We got hoodies. We got new era snapbacks. We got champion beanies. We got a lot of heat on the site for only Melo fans, only those people who control narratives. Shop ControlTheNarrative.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead to the description. You'll see the link there. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, just type it in, shopControlTheNarrative.com. A bunch of heat. We're always dropping shit. So go check it out. I'm sure you'll find something you like. And now let's get back to the show. For right now, Joey, the first matchup that we have is in the top left side of the bracket. And we have the 62-point game at the Garden. Obviously, we could speak about that all day. The Knicks and MSG record against the Bobcats. going up against the 37-point performance in the Olympics in just 14 minutes in Nigeria. That game, that matchup was an upset. That was a 3 seed, and that beat the first game as a Knick, which I was shocked about. It was close. I think it was like 53-47. But for me, I thought the first game as a Knick could have been the number 1 seed. Maybe that's because I'm a New Yorker and maybe you feel the same way. But out of those two, which one do you think is a better Melo moment? 62 at the Garden or 37 in 14 minutes in the Olympics versus Nigeria? Crazy
so I will say this, because a lot of people might see us and say, why are they such big Melo fans? There is nothing like just sitting down to watch the Knicks, right? And you're just or you watch that, or you sit down and watch that Olympic game. And like now we just point back to that game and we always point back to it. But it's just another Knick game when you're sitting down. And then you see this guy just lose his mind, put on a clinic. I was watching that game like that, the 62-point game. I mean, Jesus, because he even what really made it spectacular was he made a half-court shot. Like that's how good he was feeling
at the end of the half. Buzzer beater.
Yeah, a buzzer beater. Jesus Christ. And I'm still mad at Woodson because we see right now Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker running around with those 71s. Melo could have had 82, 83 that game. What did he come out at 62? And I think 62. There was like 8 minutes left on the clock.
7 something, yeah.
So if I was Woodson, I would have said, especially Melo, I would have said, go get as many as you can.
But they were up, for those who don't know, they were up about 35 at the time.
Yeah, this was when it was still the Bobcats, right? Like they were just terrible. But you know what? I have a question. I don't know right now off the top of my head. When Kobe had his, were they blow? No, it was a close game, wasn't it?
Close game.
Close game. All right. That's the only difference there. Yeah.
And honestly, I think obviously if it was a close game, he would have been kept in the game and would have scored more. But they kept him in that long
just to break
just to get the MSG, just to get the Knicks record, and he did that. Obviously, Kobe scored 61 at the Garden. The Knicks record prior to that was Bernard King, who scored 60 on Christmas Day, I believe. So they kept him in that long. So I'm guessing by everything you just said, your answer is 62.
So sorry, I guess this is a long-winded answer, isn't it? I was watching the Olympic game too, and although I did love seeing it, and I just like it just shows you, what a pure shooter he is. I think the 62 like that. That's just a classic, iconic moment in the Garden. 100% the 62.
I agree. It's going to be tough, man. I'm interested to see, as we talk about this over the next dozen or so minutes, if any of the 1 seeds get knocked off. But for me, that 62-point game, it's one of those moments, like you just said, you remember watching it. As a Carmelo Anthony fan, if you watch that game, you will always remember where you were and what you were doing when you watched that. We spoke about this last week with Joe, and the 37 points in 14 minutes is insane. Like I laughed after I said that out loud. I was like, that's a real stat. Like USA won by 83 against Nigeria, and people are like, oh yeah, well, it's against Nigeria. It's like they're still professional basketball players. Like people are acting like,
and also he's making them like he's
right.
We're hitting the motions here, and he's the bench is going insane.
Right. Yeah, Olympic record. It was crazy, but it's going to be tough to beat that 62-point game. I can think of one, which we'll get into, which I think has a legit shot of doing that, which we'll get into in a few minutes. But that 62-point game, again, just one of those where were you when moments that we'll remember for the rest of our lives. From, I think he had 35 in the first half and that buzzer beater from half court.
Jesus.
Just some shit that, Melo's I think this is also a funny thing is like Melo's always smiling and laughing. He's always just a very like chill, cool guy like that. That night from start to finish, from the tip off to the final buzzer, he didn't smile one time.
He was on
like legitimately not one time. And he said in the interview after to Tina Cervasio, the GOAT, shout out to Tina. I miss her. She was always mad fun watching the games. That they had watched something prior to the game about like a Mike Tyson speech, or no, Muhammad Ali's speech.
Muhammad Ali, yeah.
I forget what it was, but that
That's
just
it. That's all he needed.
Everybody, that's all the team needed to go out and like try to.
JR heard that same speech. He didn't shoot 60.
Something clicked in Melo's brain when he heard that he was like, no, this shit's a fucking rap. I'm going off, and that to me, man, was just one of those.
They never doubled him. They never doubled him. Don't know why.
The last shot they did. They tried to.
They were like, "At least try here."
And it was funny because a lot of the time it was off the ball screens. Obviously, Melo sometimes just came up, pulled up, or they gave him to an ISO. But Chandler set a bunch of off the ball screens. Shumpert set a bunch of off the ball screens. So like, he was scoring in every fashion. So I agree.
You remember when Phil Jackson traded Tyson Chandler away for a bag of chips?
I mean, it's Jose Calderon, same shit as a bag of chips, and Samuel Dalembert. So like, we got a lot back for that. That was a hell of a trade.
Got a lot back.
Shit's a fucking joke, bro. And also last point on this that I want to say is, had the number 2 seed not been upset in the first round, which was Melo's first game as a Knick, I would have picked that. Would you have?
Say that again?
So the 2-3 matchup was Melo's first game as a Knick versus the 37 points in 14 minutes and the 37 points in 14 minutes won. Had the first game as a Knick won that matchup and gone up against a 62-point game, are you picking that or are you sticking with 62?
Yeah, by a landslide. And that just sucks because, like, I love that. I love the 37 points, but I mean, because it's the introduction. And now it's hard for me to go to the Garden and hear at power forward, Julius Randle.
Yeah.
It's who? Are you kidding me? The way they used to say from Syracuse, come on.
Exactly. I think it's obviously because like we're from New York and we
understand. I think there's a New York element 100%.
Yeah. And I don't know. I guess I just overrate that. Like that's
like dude, it's so the guy who won a ring for a New York college, you know, coming back, they announce him with that. You start with that. You start with the champion, and then you introduce. Come on. Yeah. Definitely.
I'm sad it lost, but I guess I'll have to get over it. So, yo, last interruption, I promise. But if you've been listening or watching the podcast for this long, that means you probably fuck with us, which also means you'll probably fuck with all the perks you get from being a Control the Narrative member. We send our members free merch every 3 months, and it's exclusive to our members. We don't also sell this on our site. It's merch only for the members. So, for example, here's one we did. We paid homage to the 2012 Knicks Christmas Day jerseys. Also, all members always get 20% off all of our general drops forever. Like, that's not capped out. That's 20% off every single purchase on our merch website. We give our members free tickets to in-person events. We have a town hall every month. We always try to think about the members first and how we can bring value to those people. So if all this shit sounds interesting to you, go to controlthenarrative.com, click become a member, pick a tier, sign up, and we will see you in the Patreon, man. Excited for this. We have a lot of cool stuff in store for these members moving forward. So go sign up if that sounds interesting to you. And I promise, now we're back to the show for good. Next matchup we got in the bottom left part of the bracket. I should have named the parts of the bracket, but bottom left, we have the 2009 Western Conference Finals. So this is the whole series, just the entertainment value, how much you enjoyed watching it, things like that, versus the 2012-2013 season when he won the scoring title specifically. So do you think the series versus Kobe was a better moment, or putting up a season high 28.7 points per game, beating out KD, LeBron, Kobe, and Harden?
I think most people, unless you're a big New York Knicks fan at that time, would go with Kobe because, of course, I mean, you know, whenever there's like, oh, Carmelo didn't play defense, you point at that series. And you say, that's Kobe Bryant. That's Kobe Bryant at his best.
Peak, absolute peak Kobe.
Yeah. And he's, you know, and that's Kobe fighting because he doesn't have Shaq to just throw it to in the post. That's him fighting for his best. So, you know, there's that. But I mean, you can't compare that Knicks team. And we couple of things go differently, and we do win a chip that year because we had the Heat's number. We beat them 4 times that year.
3.
Was it 3?
Yeah,
and
3 out of 4.
I don't know what happened with Indiana that year. I mean, JR, we know we had the JR situation. I think that could have gone differently. And we still had Amari then, right? So, we had a big contract on Amari who just wasn't the same. He just wasn't the same. So, yeah, I definitely go with the 2012, 2013 Knicks, Steve Novak, all those boys. I mean, that was just a good time.
So the scoring title, you'd go with the scoring title over the Western Conference Final Series in terms of
only as a Knicks fan, only for me personally. But like if we're talking historically, Hall of Fame, why is he a Hall of Famer? You put that Lakers series definitely, and then you drop down the title.
I put it as the 1 seed because, to your point, any series that Melo's played in, that's the one that people point to of like, hey, look what he did on the brightest of stages. Obviously, it wasn't the finals, but whoever won that series
was the finals.
That was
for anyone who doesn't know. That was the finals.
Because LA smacked the shit out of Orlando in the finals. Denver would have done the same exact thing.
Absolutely.
Maybe it wasn't 5 games, maybe it went to 6 games, but Denver would have won pretty easily. And that 2009 series when it was Nuggets Lakers was the hardest fought series of the Denver era with Melo. It was Melo's hardest fought series.
Yeah.
Maybe up until the Indiana series, which we don't really talk about too much because of how it ended. But no, that series was crazy. But the 2013 scoring title, we talked about it a little bit last week, but knowing that you could just throw the ball to him and he's going to score was insane. When you look at the list of guys he beat out, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, James Harden, that's a crazy list of scorers. And when we look at 28.7 points per game, it doesn't sound a lot in today's day and age where guys are scoring 40, 50, 60, 70 every other night.
Yeah.
Obviously not 70 every other night, but 28.7 and being the leader of any player in the NBA that season just goes to show how tough it was to score even just 10 years ago compared to today. And the fact that this dude was scoring better than anybody else out of those names that I just named.
Absolutely.
And him doing it in New York, him doing all this shit in New York, because he averaged a higher points per game in Denver. But for him to do this shit in New York with the Knicks jersey on meant so much to me. It sounds like it meant so much to you based on your jersey choice and your Melo little drawing back there. So
yeah, absolutely.
Man, I think this one is closer than the last one.
And it's that, but a lot of people, they look at KD and they think that, and they're like, oh, KD's the best scorer. But like the thing about that 2012 year was he was doing it from everywhere. There was you didn't know where it was going to come from. And so like, you watch today's game and the players are scoring from their favorite spots. This guy didn't have a favorite spot. He's going all around the court. He's dunking it. He's laying it up. Free throws, threes, mid-range, everything. Back up, posting up. Yep. KD doesn't back up and post up. He'll spin around and fade away. No, this guy is going in, driving with the layup, and getting hit on the elbow.
It was still bully Melo. People like to talk about Denver Melo being the bully Melo, but that scoring title Melo was very much a bully.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, I'm going that one. So it sounds like you're going 2 as well?
Final answer.
Okay. Locked in. So we both agreed 62 at the Garden, and we both agreed 2013 scoring title. So moving on, we have another upset that happened. So the Syracuse championship, obviously, his kind of like the moment that put him on the map for real, went up and beat the record third gold medal pretty handily. And we had an upset where the game winner over LeBron in Cleveland as a Denver Nugget beat Melo's comeback with Portland. And obviously I seeded these. So like, obviously I think the 2 is it's really hard for it to be an upset, but I would have went with a comeback with Portland. It didn't happen. So we have the Syracuse chip going up against the game winner over LeBron as a Denver Nugget. That was a TNT game in the winter. And
yeah, I remember that one.
It went into overtime, I believe. Yeah. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I'm making that up. I don't think it went into overtime, but it was a close game up until the end. He hits the game winner in LeBron's face with a few seconds left.
Yes.
Which one do you think is the better Melo moment?
So I would agree with you. I would have gone with the comeback with Portland. don't get me wrong. Like, I love going. I love pointing that game too and be like, look who won that one. And Melo got the better of the matchup against LeBron for most of the time when they were young. Once they got older, like LeBron just had stacked teams, and Carmelo was running around with Jose Calderon. Jesus, and Bargnani. Don't get me started on Bargnani. But yeah, I think definitely I'd go with Syracuse. Again, it's tough because I'm a New Yorker, so I'm gonna go Syracuse, which I think is fantastic. I go for any New York team. I have my teams, but I'll go for any New York team. So that's a big element of it. Also, you can't deny, like, he's got his ring. The other day, Paul George came out saying, I don't have a college ring. I don't have an NBA ring. I don't have any rings. Carmelo doesn't. He's got his. Like, and that's huge. People don't realize, but like when he was coming into the league, a champion already. Like that's huge on you. And I think also, he just didn't get lucky that Detroit didn't take him. Otherwise, we'd be having a completely different conversation. But I have to go with the Syracuse because I think it really positions his career in basketball. So yeah, I have to go Syracuse. Also, if you guys haven't seen the Syracuse documentary, I mean that was, I think it's pretty short too. It's like half an hour, maybe less.
I have not seen it. I probably should, huh?
Yeah. No, it's pretty good. I think what's his name? The coach and Melo, like everyone's in it, and it just goes game by game, and it's fantastic. So
is it on YouTube or where's it at?
I think you can easily find it on YouTube. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I remember when it came out a couple of years ago, and it's just so well done. I mean, the point guard was a big part of it, but point guard helped out a lot in the last game, but Carmelo just carried them.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't think this one is close. Obviously, the game winner over LeBron. It's great. We can sit here, and that's going to be on Melo's highlight reel when his career is all said and done. Of like, hey, remember this one game where he went toe-to-toe with LeBron, dropped 40, and hit the game winner in Cleveland. We're going to talk about that. But it all started with that Syracuse chip. It put him on the map for real. We sit here and talk about he came into the league as a champion, and, you hate – my friend Chris says this all the time. If we went and played Carmelo Anthony's career back 20 times in a simulator, he would probably not finish with the championship.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely. I'd love to run that. Yeah.
Like twice. Because we think about it, if Detroit drafted him,
they
won that year.
Yeah.
So you tell me they don't
23, what was it, 2K at the time, or was it NBA? Yeah. And I'm going to run that simulator.
Think about that for a second. How many times pretty much every decision he made was the wrong decision? Maybe besides the Portland one. Like
the Portland one was a fantastic decision, yeah. But you're right. OKC, bad choice.
OKC, Houston,
not waiting for the Suns to just join the Knicks, bad choice.
Re-signing with the Knicks.
No, LA was a good choice. He didn't know that Russ was going to be there. He was with the team before they got him.
No, are you sure about that?
I think so. I think
that happened before free agency.
Sorry?
I think that happened before free agency.
I wonder, because I remember being really excited. I was like, LeBron's going to get him his ring. And then the day they got Russ, I remember, like, I probably hit the bar that day or something.
Well, it was July 29th. When did free agency? I think free agency started late that year, no?
Let's see. Hold on.
Carmelo Anthony, Lakers sign. Melo signed.
I could be completely wrong.
He signed on August 6th. It was after Russell.
Then you know what? Bad choice.
I'm telling you, man. Anyway, talking about this whole championship thing.
What was he thinking?
Dude, I knew it. We can go back and cut the clip, but I'm 95% sure as soon as Westbrook went there, I was like, no, let's not do this. But
why we
do this podcast.
Yeah,
that's why we do this podcast. So, no, man, the Syracuse chip being one of two guys on that team to make the NBA. Hakeem Warwick was the only other player on that team. I don't think McNamara made the NBA unless
the point guard, right? I don't think so.
Yeah. No, he did not. So one of two guys on that team, and the second best player didn't even make it to the NBA. That Syracuse chip, we're in March right now, so obviously doing this March Madness bracket. I think, I was too young at the time. I was at that point 9 years old. I didn't really care about college basketball. I still really don't, but
Me either.
You heard, obviously, growing up in New York, we grew up on Long Island, but Syracuse is one of the big schools over here. So for them to make a run as a 3 seed and have this one guy who was born in New York to take a New York team and win it all, it was crazy. So obviously we had a lot of hype around it. So I'm 3 for 3. You're 3 for 3 with New York moments. I hope this isn't skewed. But I'm starting to feel like it is. So I guess we'll let the Twitter users vote on it. But I'm also going Syracuse chip.
Yeah, there's a little bit of New York bias there.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know if you could tell by my background or your background. You got the nice skyscrapers and LIC behind you. So
our backgrounds are just skyscrapers and
it is what it is. But
funny.
I'm going Syracuse chip too. So we have the 1 seed 62 at the Garden. We have the 2 seed 2013 scoring title. And then we have the 1 seed Syracuse chip. So who do we think it's going to go against? The next and final matchup, Joey is, and I feel like we might go 4 for 4 here, but Easter Day at Madison Square Garden, 2012. I don't really think I need to say too much besides 43 points on 52% shooting, including the game-tying shot at the end of the fourth quarter and the game-winning shot from essentially the same exact spot in overtime, going up against this matchup, which it's going to be live tomorrow. So obviously we have 8 matchups. We recorded our last podcast 7 days ago. That's just how it went. It is what it is. But we have Easter Day going up against one of these two. So you tell me if you're like, yo, this one will beat it, or Easter Day is going to be both. One of them is Carmelo's dunk on Paul Millsap as a Denver Nugget, which is undoubtedly the best dunk in his career, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or the playoff game winner against Dallas in 2009 as a Denver Nugget in the second round, which put them up 3-0 and one game away.
He did put them in his pocket that year.
From the Lakers. So one of those two, we'll find out tomorrow night, is going to win this matchup. But do you take Easter Day or one of those two performances?
Right. So I do think that Dallas, the way he just dominated Dallas, definitely takes the ticket there. And comparing those two, again, just because of my New York bias, like I'd be really interested for you to speak to a Carmelo fan who's a Denver guy.
Yeah.
To see if he skews the other way.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like Knicks versus Denver moments. But no, we got some Portland in there too. I think it's definitely the Easter game. The green headband, right? That was the green headband.
Yep.
Again, I was watching that game as well. I think I'm in high school during the time. So, you're just watching the game. You're watching another Knicks game. And that's how exciting he was. There was a stretch there when it was just Porzingis and then nobody. And you couldn't turn a Knicks game on because you're going to watch the excitement of the other team. Like, Stephen A. Smith had his band but it's like you really weren't going to enjoy yourself. When Carmelo was playing there, you better have had that TV on because he's going to
every night.
Crazy, bro. Like there were
every game.
I remember there were first quarters where he would have 15 points, 20 points. And I used to, don't get me wrong, I love watching Mike Breen and Clyde. But I do occasionally like to hear the other commentator of the other team because they're like, it's Carmelo. Like these guys are excited, bro. They're like, what are we gonna do tonight?
Yeah.
Get ready to double. So I do like I
love
do
that.
like seeing that. And so that's the reality. Like that was just another game where I'm watching. I'm gonna see something exciting, and he did not want to lose that game. And the way he called that same spot on the 3 with a hand in his face, I mean, this guy's ridiculous.
No, a hand on his face. He got fouled. By
Jeez.
Deng, that last play. I think it was Deng. It was Deng and Taj Gibson. I forgot which one was which.
I think it was definitely Taj Gibson, yeah, who's a great defender too.
Yeah. Joey, I can't believe I can't believe we get you on and then you're like, yo, you shouldn't have brought on a New Yorker. You should have brought on a Denver fan. It sucks because now we have to end this podcast.
After me, we want Denver.
I was gonna say because now we have to end this podcast and I have to have the same convo for 36 minutes and counting. No fucking with you, but yeah, no, that's a great point. And like, I don't know, is it a New York bias? Like now I'm like, holy shit, is it just because we're biased? Like that one playoff game winner in Dallas, if he did that versus the Pacers, do we rank that higher on the list than the Easter Day game? I don't know. I don't really know the answer to that, but I can say that I value and I think a better Melo moment was that Easter Day performance because I don't know why, but I feel like people forget about that game winner. Is it because they didn't make it to the finals? They didn't win a chip? I don't really know. But that was Melo's true playoff game winner. That was the most exciting. There was less than a second left on the clock where, you knew the game was a wrap. And it was against the Mavericks, who 2 years later won the finals. So we're not sitting here talking like, hey, he beat the fucking Raptors like LeBron did every year. And like Raptors were a good team, not to, downplaying them whatsoever. Right. But the Mavs won the championship 2 years later. So I think for me, that Easter Day performance is something that no matter if you are a Denver fan, no matter if you are a New York fan, if you are a Syracuse fan, Portland fan, whatever, if you are a fan of Carmelo, you remember watching that game and being like, holy shit, when he hit the first one, I was going crazy. And then when he hit the second one, I went even more crazy. And this was against the Bulls, who I think were the number one team in the East at the time. With D. Rose and Noah and Gibson and Deng and all these guys. And for Melo to, again, almost single-handedly do that. Obviously, you had JR. I don't think Amari played that game. Jeremy Lin did not play that game. This was a little bit after Linsanity. It was just something that, again, it being on Easter and like a holiday and like people probably being with their family.
Yeah.
Exactly. Watching that together.
You don't know it. He plays best when he's on TV.
Right. And we think about the 62-point game. It was a random Friday night in January, which was great. I'm not sitting here and being like, yo, that game sucked because of that. But if that game had been on Easter and like, that Bernard King performance on Christmas Day, it just makes it feel even more special and magical. Because again, people were probably with someone watching that. Just something I'll remember for a long time. So again, 4 for 4, Wendy style. We are going with the New York moments.
Wendy style. That's so you give this guy a sponsorship.
Wendy's Wendy's is the most underrated fast food restaurant. I talk about this a decent amount on here for a basketball podcast, but
really?
they reinvented, the meal deal with the 4 for 4, and then every single other fast food restaurant copied it.
They did. They absolutely did, and it's delicious.
I could talk about that for a little bit, Joey. So I think next time we have you on, we'll have a segment.
Make a couple of phone calls to Wendy. I think we can easily get a sponsorship here.
We'll have a little segment on that, but Easter Day, that one's up right now with a day left, 90.5% to 9.5. So
something I'd love to see you do now that we're mentioning this, I would love something similar like this, but like Melo revenge games. Because he's had revenge games. Like he had, I think maybe just one game where he did come back to the Garden and he had a great fucking game.
That was on New Year's Day with the Blazers.
Yeah.
You think it was a revenge game against the Knicks though?
But we can even rank it as like if we look back games he had against like let's say Denver, the Knicks.
He sucked. He always sucked against them.
Because I will say this: the one team he gets his revenge against is Houston, and especially if it's PJ Tucker guarding him. There's a couple of revenge games against PJ Tucker. Because there's this one story out where like one practice PJ, really stopped Melo. There's that there was one Houston practice where he did that. So it's funny because literally after that, when Melo's come back into the league, every time I've seen him against PJ Tucker, destroying him. Like spin around, jumper, step back, like.
And they're boys. They're boys.
Yeah. But it's also like, that story's out there. The same way he did that shit to Jared Dudley once.
I swear to God, that was one of the first things that came to my mind.
Jared Dudley.
Which like almost makes me feel sad. Like, holy shit, that's who like the revenge is against. But when he talks shit against someone,
he talks so much
shit. There's really not much.
Yeah, and he was playing minutes.
Yeah, against the Wizards. I remember that when he was in New York. But I like that revenge. Maybe we'll do a little Instagram post on that or something.
Yeah. And maybe it doesn't even have to be revenge games against a team. It could be a revenge game against a certain player. Yeah, that's funny.
Oh yeah, Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah, there you go.
Coaches in there.
What's his coach in Denver? What was his name?
George Karl?
Yeah, did he have any revenge games against George
Bro,
Karl?
every time Melo played the Nuggets after he left, he played like shit. Every single
I hate
time.
to hear that.
Every single time. Unless I'm forgetting something, but I feel like every single time he played.
I always would go into a Denver game like, oh, he should play fine. He's still probably the heir.
Yeah. No, even in New York, bro. Even in New York, those games were tough. But I could be wrong. Interesting to look that up though. But we have our Final Four. We have the 62 at the Garden. We have the 2013 scoring title. We have the Syracuse chip, and we have the Easter Day performance at MSG. This is obviously our choices. So when we put this live, it's going to be on Twitter, and whatever Twitter says goes. But I think that's 4 really, 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 really good moments. I'm curious to see what win. I asked Joe this last week. We went through every single matchup. Which one moment do you think is going to win? And remember the New York bias. Not that we want to win. Well, I mean, it's all 4 New York shit that we just picked, I guess. But what do you think is going to win? Which moment do you think, like, the Control fan base is going to say was their favorite Melo moment?
I mean, 62, of course, is huge for us. But then, that Bulls game, it really counts. And then the other one is, we just spoke about it.
The Syracuse chip.
Syracuse, yeah, we have Syracuse. And what was the last one?
The 2013 scoring title, or the Lakers, if that wins.
Oh, so this might sound weird, but I think I'll have to go the full year of 2013 scoring title, because that's the happiest year of my life. So we're gonna go that one.
Same, I swear in my
that
life.
was my peak too.
I swear to God, bro. I was a freshman in college.
And I'm kidding, of course, but I mean it was a great year.
I'm not kidding. That was my freshman year in college. I was away rooming with my best friend since 5th grade. The Knicks were great.
Oh, wow.
I had a girlfriend at the time. My family situation. I could not ask of anything more in life.
Oh, that's good. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy it was at the same time.
Yeah. But that's fair. That's fair. I think
I would love it if I'm like, my life was falling apart. That's all I had. No, I was
and that made shit 10,000 times better. This shit's tough. I don't think I gave an answer last week, but I feel like I think the Syracuse chip is going to win. I feel like since it's his one championship.
It's his legacy, man. Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like that's going to win. As much as I want to say Easter or that 2013 season, I feel like Hughes is just like, and I don't want to say like, oh, he peaked before he got to the NBA, because like that's kind of fucked up.
No, yeah. But it's a huge part of what he is.
Yeah, he was a freshman and he did all that shit by himself, pretty much. McNamara was great. Yep. Hakeem Warwick was really good. They had good players on the team, but 2 of them made it to the NBA. Yeah. One of them was Carmelo Anthony. Another guy was someone who I don't think lasted more than 5-6 years in the league. So I feel like that's going to win. I hope I'm wrong. Not that this fucking means anything. Obviously, we'd all rather have Melo back in the league to be talking about shit like that than shit like this. But I think that one's going to win. But what do I want to win? I want that 2013 season to win because, like you said, just a great year. Literally every single night we turned on the TV and was yo, it really was. Melo's dropping 25 minimum.
Yep. And shout out to JR, dude. Whenever Melo did sit down, that guy came through. Remember those big games he had, dropping 30, 32?
Of course.
When Melo's head down, he'd be like, oh, I'm shooting 30 shots tonight.
Of course. He was either putting up 33 or 3. So it's always fun to watch there.
Yeah.
That was there, man.
People don't understand, bro. That was his number 2. That was his second highest score.
Second best player. Chandler was an all-star that year, but Jared was a better player.
Yeah. Trust me, though. Tyson, I love Tyson.
Me too.
He was me too. Yeah.
All right, Joey. Much needed, much
good time.
What's the time? It's not much awaited, but long overdue episode. So thank you for hopping on. I know that you watch the pod, so I know you know how we end every episode, where we allow our guests to control a narrative. It doesn't have to be Melo related. It doesn't have to be basketball related. It doesn't even have to be sports related.
This is good. I prepped for this one.
So if you have a narrative, which sounds like you do, I will give you the floor to control a narrative. Go
John
for
Morant.
it. What about it?
So we got to be careful here, everyone. We love to jump down people's throats, right? I saw the photo, all right? I was one of those who did take a peek at the photo. And you know, there is a lot going on with him. And I don't know if you did see Carmelo when Dylan Brooks was like, oh, Dwight and Carmelo this or whatever. And Carmelo was like, respectfully keep my name out of it.
Yeah.
I love that. But honestly, with Ja, like, you know, he comes from a good family. He comes from a good background. Like, we don't know what the hell's going on. He hasn't been an asshole about this. We've seen assholes before. We've seen Antonio Brown. I mean, even Kyrie, just the way he deals with it. Look at the way Russell deals with the media. Like, there are players who are just assholes. It looks like Ja isn't that. So, like, even Skip Bayless, dude. Skip Bayless is a monster. Like, already, like, saying, oh, it's gang affiliation. This man has no time to affiliate with gangs. Like, what are you talking about? It's the middle of the season. Like, no, he's clearly going through something. So I think us as fans, you know, we got to take it easy. I think we are the people who take it easiest on them. I do think it's the media who really will pile on. But I think, you know, in this and when things like this do happen to players, you know, let's not try to destroy them, you know, put them down this way. Like, to be honest, we did that to Ben Simmons. And, you know, sometimes we have a little bit of fun doing it. Dude, he took a huge hit. And I don't think he's the first one either. I think it also happened to MCW. Remember Michael Carter Williams? Like, the second that, like, don't, like, when you trash these guys, like, that affects them. So let's just be careful there with Mr. Morant, because he's legendary. He's going to be incredible. And we just need him to focus on that. And him too. Like, just focus on that. You know how many people would love to be a star of an NBA team? Just do that, bro. Forget a club. You can do that after. But for right now, he's got to, you know, just concentrate on that.
Well said. I think it's really important because, you know, you mentioned that, you know, you mentioned the media, and they're the ones who set and start these narratives. Like, obviously with Ja, a lot of this is self-inflicted. Without a doubt, to your point, he's going through something. And, you know, like the strip club releasing that picture, like, that was corny as fuck in my opinion.
Terrible.
Like, bro, why would anybody ever want to go back to your strip club ever again if you're releasing pictures like that just for clout or because someone paid you, whatever the deal is? But obviously, you know, the gun thing and the thing with the 16, 17-year-old, whatever it is, like, that's an issue. So I like that, man. I think it's so easy to just trash someone and just to, like, assume things when you don't really know what someone's going through, and you know, like, these players, there are a lot who can take shit like that. Like, I just saw a clip of Dame where JJ Redick asked him, he's like, yo, how do you deal with the pressure of everybody saying you should win a trip and you should go to this team? It's like, because I have a real life. I go home and I play with my kids and I hang out with my cousins, and I don't watch TV and think about, damn, I really should go here. Like, I have a real life, and I love that. But there's certain people who don't, and there's certain people who, like, that shit really affects them. So like, you never know.
They harp on that. Yeah.
So you never really know. And I think the most important thing of what you said was that Ja doesn't seem like an asshole. Like, he seems like, you know, he's wants to do the right thing right now and moving forward, and, like, he doesn't want to let this define him. So I don't really think there's too much else to add on, but I like that a lot. Well said, Joey.
No, dude, thank you for having me on. This has been a pleasure.
Of course, bro. Again, much, you know, overdue, but we will definitely make sure this doesn't happen again. And I appreciate your time. I know that, you know, this is something we've been trying to do for a minute. Finally got a chance to do it. And, you know, I know you just got back from work and shit like that. So, and you see the fucking turtleneck on. You're like, yo, I need to throw on this fucking Melo jersey too.
I got one last question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Does Carmelo retire with the Knicks? Does he play one season off the bench, 10, 15 minutes off the bench, retires?
I don't know if
it's Leon Rose.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I think 2,000% he retires with them. Even that's a one-day contract.
Like a Mario.
And then I hope I hope that they put that 7 up in the rafters.
Amari retired here, right? He didn't retire in Phoenix. Amari retired here.
Like, you mean signing a one-day contract?
Yeah.
Amari retires, one-day contract. Let's see. Yep, you're right.
That's something.
Yeah, so I think like that at the very minimum. If we get a whole season of it, amazing. But at the very fucking least, hell yeah. Like he will sign a one-day contract at the worst, at the minimum, and hopefully they put his number up there because
it better go up there. If not, you and I will make sure we'll put one up there.
We will post something on Control and be like, yo, everybody meet outside MSG right now. Joey, my guy, for real. Thank you again for, not even hopping on, but being a member. I think it's been like over a year. So, without people like you, we wouldn't be able to continue going, and just like your engagement on social and shit. Like, obviously, I see all that.
I got 30 likes on a comment the other day. I'm gonna shoot for 60 next time.
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. For real, bro. Appreciate you. And we will definitely do another one soon.
All right, man. Good seeing you.